All right, well, my next guest says that there's a new world order and just about everyone is missing the big picture or the much bigger picture. I want to bring in out Belpointe Chief Strategist, David Nelson. All right, David, don't leave us in suspense, right? What's going on? What's the big
That's
picture?
a pretty important chart where you got up there right
So
right
I keep
now.
reading about the German bond and the Bunds and and it went crazy. And of course, they're going to change their constitution. They're raising all this money. They're going to have defense
It's massive.
Yeah.
It's massive. I mean, if it was happening here, they're going to do an infrastructure and defense bill, all right? A program, an infrastructure, contract, over the next number of years, 500 billion euros. If that was here in the United States, that would be over $3 trillion. If President Trump announced a $3 trillion stimulus package,
right,
what kind of reaction do you think the market would get?
Right. And the thing is, though, they had to get what they said the break, right? The debt break. So
the debt break's
they no longer care about debt. I mean, they're putting growth over debt and security of their nation.
And I think what President Trump is doing, he's making Europe stand up for themselves, and it's reinvigorating their economy. And if you look at the German stock market over the last.
Yeah, we're going to bring up the stock market here in a second. So because this is the bond, that's what's interesting, though, because if our bond yield typically would spike like this, our stock market wouldn't necessarily
biggest spike in probably decades. That spike.
But also their stock market's doing very well as well.
They broke into an all-time high.
Right here.
First time in 18 years. It's an 18-year breakout. All right. This is meaningful. This is material. You can't ignore this.
Would you chase this then?
Absolutely. This is something that you should own. Europe is going up for a reason. Part of it's a zero-sum game. When capital comes out of the United States, it's got to go somewhere.
Right.
It's going there. But I think this is even bigger. I think what's happening in Germany is even bigger. This is something you can buy into, and I think this is a long-term trend.
Is there how does our audience buy something like this? Like a lot of folks, I've never bought the DAX before. I'm not familiar with
EWG is an easy way to do it. That's an ETF that you can go out there and do that. And you can buy FEZ, which is really the big 50 in Europe, which is also doing very well.
So it's intriguing because, in part because President Trump has pushed them, hey, you got to defend yourselves. And
He's kicked them out. It's like kicking your 40-year-old son out of the house and saying, get a job.
Right. But we're now doing some austerity. Now we're the ones who are doing austerity via Doge to slim down our government.
And that speaks to our market. The bull markets are not led by Colgate, all right? And you're seeing these stocks break out to new highs here. And that tells you that something's going on economically in the country.
Is it a necessary pain? Here's the GDP growth, right? The GDP numbers, just the whole screen. Folks, what you need to know is on February 26th, we were looking at first quarter growth to 2.3%. 2 days later, negative 1.5%. The next day, negative 2.8%. So it's all turned upside down. Now, a lot of it is this column here, trade, which is going to be up 1.4, and now it's down 3.8. But that's not the only one, right? We're seeing non-residential structures. We're seeing consumer spending.
I think there's a bigger picture going on here. This is not just about tariffs. President Trump is reforming our economy, all right? We're moving from a government-led economy with a lot of stimulus, a lot of programs, a lot of spending, and we're going to move that to the private sector. That disruption, all right? You get rid of waste and fraud. One man's waste and fraud is another source of income. That disruption is going to cause a lot of pain, and that's what we're experiencing right now.
So then what are you doing with the market right now? I know you like to be, I know your mandate is to always be long.
Right now.
You're not fully invested.
Actually trouble finding, stuff. I had to
trouble? Everything's on sale.
Look,
are you having trouble finding stuff or trouble finding the nerve to pull the trigger?
That's probably closer to the truth. And what you tend to do in an environment like this, you start to overtrade.
Right.
And you start to try to chase everything. I had to make a major shift a couple of weeks ago. I got really hurt for a couple of days, made the shift. It helped out a lot, and some of that's paying off. But right now, it's a challenge, and everybody wants to catch that falling knife. I've got to let the dust settle for that.